Concerns tonight that the Israel-Palestinian conflict could become an all-out war. Dozens of people have been killed since this violence started this week.
And here to talk more about this is North Central College poli-sci Professor Stephen Caliendo. Professor Caliendo, thank you for being here.
It's good to see you both.
All right, good to see you too. So this conflict between Israel and Palestine has got a very long history. What can you tell us about what sparked this most recent clash?
Well, the most recent clash is about moving Palestinians who are just a half dozen families that are living in contested areas in Jerusalem. But as you said, I mean, it's important to decide, where we start to talk about how the story unfolds, because it's a centuries-long story with important activity in the middle of the 20th century, of course, after World War II. And into the 21st century. So there's a lot to talk about in terms of the history, and I think it's hard to wrap our brains around conflicts that are that old, because of course in this country we have fewer of those.
Yeah, we are seeing protests on both sides of this here in our area. We know that President Biden spoke with the Israeli Prime Minister this afternoon. What could a war or an escalating clash between these two sides mean for us here in the U.S.?
Well, I mean, it depends how involved we would be. I mean, we've been involved in that area in lots of ways, in diplomatic ways, ever since the creation of the State of Israel after World War II. But we also have been involved in militaristic ways in terms of supplying ammunition. But the question, I think, is really what we're getting at is whether or not there would be soldiers, whether there ever be boots on the ground in the region. And so, of course, that's something that the American public would be very concerned about. Although, lots of folks are concerned about what's happening there on both sides, as you say. We're seeing lots of activity this week.
Professor Caliendo, we're going to switch gears and talk about the GOP, which has voted to oust Liz Cheney from her leadership position in the House. What do you think that means for the future of the party and where they stand with former President Trump?
My goodness, really important, an important move this morning, symbolically, to send a signal to the former president, first of all, that the Republicans on Capitol Hill are overwhelmingly supportive of him still. He's still the leader of the Republican Party in terms of national politics. But these folks are also reading the tea leaves, and the polling data that shows that lots of Republicans still support the former president. And I don't think any of this is going to be settled until we get closer to knowing who the nominee for president will be in 2024. We might know a little bit more in 2022 to see how some of the candidates decide to position themselves, the Republican candidates decide to position themselves in the midterm elections. But I think it's going to be some time until this rift is sorted out.
Definitely. All right. And our political editor, Mike Flannery, is going to have more breaking down that story in a few minutes. But Professor Caliendo, thanks so much for your insight this afternoon.
It's good to be with you.
You too.